G'day guys, Luke here. Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm joined here with Ray for this segment of the video. Gotta make it quick because he's in a bit of a body mood today. So today's video, we're looking at some of the things we need to consider before owning a reptile. Ray, if you guys have not seen the previous video on some of the things we need to know before owning a reptile, I suggest go check that out first. That way it makes a bit more sense with this video. Now the first thing I'll look at first is space. Now, once you have a little designated spot for a enclosure, depending on what size you have, it might depend on what species might work best for you. So majority of your geckos can be small, so a lot of people go for geckos as they don't require that much space. There's some people just go all crazy like I do, getting heaps of reptiles, or get a couple of really big ones. So make sure when you do get a reptile, you have a plan of going from baby up to the adult, as some groups of reptiles grow bigger than others. Prime example, you can go from a tiny little gecko all the way up to a goanna or a very big snake. So always make sure you've got plenty of space before owning a reptile or multiple reptiles. For this next segment of the video, I have Snickers here, who is one of my children pythons, joining me for this. Now the next three dot points kind of all link up with each other, so we go through it. So the first dot point is, if you're afraid of fast moving animals, such as a snake striking or a fast moving lizard, I suggest not owning one of those as your first time pet, because you might have a hard time owning that animal. Now, if you are afraid of getting bitten, just don't get that species of reptile that is known for being bitey, such as snakes. Now, it doesn't matter what species of snake that you own, sooner or later you will get bitten. Yes, there are more friendly ones than others, such as diamond pythons. There's corn snakes, I heard are pretty good, ball pythons. Normally they're good, then you kind of go to, let's say, a jungle carpet python that we all know that is snappy. So it's all about the personality of the snake. And I trust Snickers enough here that she won't bite me on the face, will you? No. So it's all about knowing the species, and you are afraid of getting bitten, just don't get a snake or that species of reptile that is bitey. Get something that's a bit more placid. Next thing that kind of links up is if you have any young kids. Now, I find a lot of kids will want a reptile to handle, to play with, to, I guess, love over. As long as you're supervising your kids while they're holding the animal and you teach them the correct ways of handling them, chances are nothing will go wrong. Unfortunately, with kids, if they don't really know their own strength and oftentimes might accidentally grab the animal a bit too hard, or they're not very careful how to handle them and end up hurting the animal, the last thing you want is that animal to bite your kid. The kid is now scared of that animal, and basically that animal's trust in humans is now gone. So you kind of a juggling act there to make sure the peace stays around there. Another thing too is, if it's just for you, you've got to work out if it's more of a handling animal or just an animal for viewing. So some reptiles are great for viewing, such as Dusty here, my black and monitor. I just look at him, I don't really handle him that much anymore. While every other species of reptiles that I have here, I can pick up and handle because they are used to it now. So it's all about knowing what you want and what's best for the family. For the next segment of this video, guys, we're joined here with Akko, who is my Eastern War Dragon. Now, before we continue on to the next stop point, now some species of reptiles are easier to train than others. If I look at a Central Bearded Dragon, I can have one of them tamed within 5 minutes. With Akko here, it took me a couple of years to get her trust completely. Even though a moment ago she just did a big poop on my hand, she is a little bit scared, a bit more stressed out to a bearded dragon who wouldn't really care most of the time. So some species you got to think about, are they easier to train than others? Now, on to the next dot point would be, what would be low maintenance all the way up to high maintenance reptiles? If I had to group reptiles as a group from easiest to hardest, I would say pythons would be the easiest to look after. But I know pythons are not really everyone's cup of tea. So the next thing I'll go with would be a gecko. Surely everybody loves a gecko, something small, cute, and don't require that much maintenance and care. After that, I'll go with skinks like blue tongues, cunninghams, stuff like that, as a bit more robust, and they don't really need that daily care. But some species do, some species don't. But I find most dragon species would be a daily care. So every morning we feed this girl so she's happy. One thing she does love is strawberries, but you get that as a treat, darling. So I find dragons would be a bit more challenging to keep compared to a blue tongue. At least the setup wise, you have to get things spot on for most dragon species. Then after that, I'll go with turtles. Anything that lives in the water are pretty much a nightmare to take care and maintain. That's why I don't have a turtle in my family, as I just find probably just a bit too hard for me. I won't say hard, but it's just something I've never really gelled with. Growing up, I had fish and never had them successfully, so I don't think a turtle would be that well suited for me. Every other species reptile, yeah, sure. I can have a big lace one if I want to. I feel very confident owning one of them. A turtle, I don't really have the confidence there. It's all about knowing what's easier to hardest. Now you might be wondering, what about goannas? I'll find with one of the lizards, they own separate lists. So I'll find Aki's being the easiest. Then let's go for something like a lace miner, something I'm more familiar with. Because of that size difference, there's more danger compared to a lace miner than an Aki. And for the space factor, you can have an Aki in a 120 centimeter enclosure or 4 foot enclosure just fine. You need to put your lace miners in a big aviary outside to have them happy and healthy. So that's why I kind of have goannas as their own separate list. For the last segment of the video, we've got Billy here, who is one of my blue tongue skinks, to cover off the last couple of dot points. Now, this next dot point we're going to cover off is, are you going to take proper care of this animal? Like having a cat, a dog, a horse, a bird. As long as you're providing the basic needs for this animal, then you're fine. So with reptiles, of course, you need the appropriate size enclosure for the individual you want to care for, or individuals if you have multiple. The appropriate furniture for that animal or animals. As well, you're giving them fresh water daily to drink, providing the basic food that they need, or at least the appropriate dietary needs. And of course, with lighting, it varies from species to species. Some species of reptile require UVB, some don't. But one thing that every species of reptile will need is heat. Now, depending on what species they are, their heating range does vary, but it's kind of consistent between, let's say, 26 degrees Celsius up to about 32 degrees Celsius on the thermostat. Yes, some species of reptiles can handle 45-degree temperatures, but only in a very micro area, not the whole enclosure. With Billy here, when she came into my care, all she was just skin and bones. She was pretty much the size of her head when she came in, but I kind of get a special thanks for Mum for helping me. We were able to save Billy, and ever since we've had her, she's thrived. So luckily we got her, otherwise I don't think she would have had a very long life if she went somewhere else. But thankfully, she's come good, of course, so that's why we always want to take proper care of our reptiles, so they have long, happy, and healthy lives. Once you've gone through space, what species of animal you want to keep, and what's best for the family, after that, it's best to talk to a breeder. If you're talking to a breeder, of course, they know the ins and outs of that species. If they're able to breed them for a long period of time, then they know how those animals tick. So they know what the setup is, what they need for food, for heating, pretty much everything. So it's always worth talking to a breeder because they always know what they're on about. I do take things from a pet shop with a grain of salt, as most pet shop workers, no offense, don't really know the reptiles as much compared to someone who owns reptiles or even breeds them. So it's not me disrespecting pet shops. However, it's better off getting reliable information from someone who actually does that species for quite a long time. Apart from that, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Hope it helps out a lot for those who are looking at owning a reptile. There is a lot to consider and all that stuff, but I'll be honest, you can't go wrong with a reptile. I think they're great pets. Hey Billy, you're a great pet, aren't you? I think she's getting sick of me. But anyway, we'll wrap up the video here. So thank you guys all watching to the very end, and I'll see you all in the next video.